to die, to sleep, to dream.
Hello, it's Mr. Movie Mountain, and we're here to talk about one of my favorite movies of the year so far, Sing Sing. And I'll talk about this more towards the end of the video, but if you'd like to support rehabilitation through the arts, which is what the movie is kind of centered around, I'll leave a link to that in the description of this video. Sing Sing's plot revolves around a group of inmates who come up with and perform a play, and kind of the healing nature of theater and expression and arts. And so before we get into my review of the video and what I thought of it, I wanted to give you all just a little breakdown of my own experience with theater arts. Growing up, I had some exposure to being in plays. I remember in elementary school, I was cast as the Wizard of Oz in our little production of the Wizard of Oz. And then in junior high, I played the train conductor in The Music Man, and I was so proud that I had the first line in the whole play. Boy! Despite this exposure to theater arts, I still had a negative perception of drama kids or people that took drama classes.
Okay, look, these are theater kids.
That is until my senior year of high school, when the drama teacher reached out to me and a couple of my friends based on this ridiculous skit that we had put together for the school talent show to say we should come and try out for drama for our senior year. Because I liked and respected the teacher, I decided to give an audition, and soon enough found myself in drama class for my senior year. Shout out to Spotlight class of 2023, and shout out to Mrs. Stones for getting me to try out. Although I was a bit hesitant at first, I soon was welcomed into the wonderful world of performance. I was able to get outside of my shell, goof off, be vulnerable, and just really enjoy what it is to perform. We even had an assignment where at the beginning of each semester, we each had to come up with a pitch idea for a one-act play, and then we'd vote as a class on our top, 3 to 5 one-acts that we wanted developed and put on at the end of the semester. What a fun process in creativity. And now that, I work an office job every day, I really look back on those times fondly and miss when I used to have so much creativity. That's probably why, this YouTube channel is a fun outlet for me. I am so grateful that teacher inspired me to give drama a try my senior year. And I really do connect and feel that there is a healing power to the theater art. Sing Sing is set in the infamous Sing Sing Correctional Facility in New York. We're introduced to one of the main characters, Divine G, as he delivers the final lines of a Shakespearean play. We soon find out he is the leader of the rehabilitation through the arts group at the prison. Following the fun of their latest production, they're looking for more people to bring into the program. That's where we're introduced to the other lead of this film, Clarence Divine Eye Macklin. And at first, his character seems like someone who wouldn't be interested in the theater arts. We watch him threatening someone in the yard over what I assume was some sort of drug deal. And then as he comes over to talk to Divine G and his buddy Mike about joining the group, he starts quoting King Lear, and we see that there's more depth and dimension to him than maybe we initially assumed. And so they decide to give Divine Eye a chance at joining the group. As the movie unfolds, Divine Eye has this initial skepticism towards the group and a really hard time adjusting, but he's able to find the freedom in his self-expression and self-determination in a really beautiful way that's shown throughout the movie. And it honestly reminded me a little bit of one of my favorite movies of all time, which is 2016's Moonlight, where it's touching on themes of masculinity and people feeling like they're put into a box, men specifically feeling like they're put into a box by society, but then what can be so powerful of having vulnerability and connection and a healthy processing of emotions, and really how beautiful that is when it happens. Now, before we get into some of the points of the story that I really loved, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to this channel, I have a goal of getting to 50 subscribers by the end of September, and I would really appreciate it. Now let's talk about some of my favorite parts of the story. A common critique I see of modern movies is that they spend too much time doing what's called an exposition dump, where they just have two characters talking back and forth for something that seems like no other reason than letting us know what's going on in the story, instead of trying to show it in some sort of visual or narratively interesting way. Sing Sing, I would say, is a perfect example of the opposite of that pitfall, where it shows us a lot of what's going on, and there's so much more emotional weight than just two characters talking back and forth. The first example of this has to do with the appeal process to be let out of prison. Divine G has helped a lot of men with this process. He's going through his own process for being wrongfully accused of second-degree murder, and he's been, appealing for years and years. And he's talking to Divine I about this, and initially he doesn't believe him, or he's kind of like, well, they're just gonna screw us and keep us in here, so what's the point? But Divine G is able to get him to come around, and then explains that when you do all the paperwork and you file your appeal, if you get a thick bundle of papers back, that means that you're being let out of prison. And if you get one sheet of paper, that means that you're having to stay and your application has been denied. This simple conversation that made sense within the story pays off in a truly devastating way when you see Divine G go through his appeal that he was initially so excited about. He had this new evidence that he thought would prove his innocence, and he's waiting around for the verdict of what's going to happen, and you just see a guard slip a single sheet of paper through the window to him. And this imagery just immediately sent my heart into my stomach. And that is effective storytelling, where I didn't need to see him crying. I didn't need anyone to talk about what was going on. I immediately understood the weight of the situation and what had happened by that simple visual cue of the single sheet of paper sliding through. The next example I would say of this has to do with how the movie treats showing the trauma of prison, which is a central theme throughout the whole movie and is really why a lot of these men seek healing through the arts. This is obviously a central theme throughout the movie, and I think it showed restraint while still being able to effectively communicate how soul-crushing that environment can be. And other movies set in a similar setting, I feel like sometimes tend to revel a little bit too much in the violence or trauma of what can happen in these systems. One scene especially stood out to me. Throughout the film we see Divine G, he's writing his own plays, he likes to read, he's got papers covering his walls with all his ideas, and has all of these things kind of meticulously set up within his cell. And at a certain point, we see him going through what is assumed to be kind of a routine sweep of his cell. He stood up in a kind of dehumanizing way against the wall as a guard just rifles through his stuff in the room, and then we watch him re-enter the cell, and all of his beautiful work and things has just been dumped out on the floor and is totally disorganized, and his humanity has been attacked in this way. While something like seeing a prison guard beat down on an inmate or watching violence unfold in a prison yard maybe could have communicated some of the same themes, I feel like the choice to just help us gain empathy and really humanize Divine G, only to watch, such a callous thing happen to him, really worked on me and helped me understand and see why a lot of these men went to the RTA program seeking an escape from the day in, day out reality of where they were living. By the end of the movie, if you haven't already been reduced to a blubbering puddle on the floor, it has one more 1-2 emotional punch ready for you as the final credits roll. It follows a common format of showing, for example, Divine G, played by Colman Domingo. But then as the credits continue rolling, you see Clarence Divine Eye Macklin, played by himself. Sean Dino Johnson, played by himself. And it continues down the line as you realize the majority of the cast is made up of men whose real-life experiences mirror what is shown in the movie. They all were incarcerated at the Sing Sing prison. I've also got to commend the unique financing strategy for this movie that will most likely allow the kind of under-the-line actors and members of production to earn more money over time than they typically would, so that this movie not only is sharing the message of these incredible men that have gone through the RTA program, but it also is becoming a financial asset for them to potentially earn money on into the future. And if you want to learn more about kind of that new financing option that they're exploring, I'll link a Hollywood Reporter article in the description that talks a little bit more about it. I would describe Sing Sing as one of those movies where when you're done seeing it, you feel like a changed person. I was obviously very emotionally affected by the film, if you couldn't already tell through this video. Just seeing the artistry and magnificence on display, as well as a lot of the injustices in our current penal system. Sing Sing gets an easy 5 out of 5 on the Mountain Meter, and I expect it to get at least nominated for the Best Picture this year, as well as probably a few other categories at the Academy Awards. I truly believe in the healing power of art, especially theater. Even something as simple as having this YouTube channel and filming my little movie reviews here and there has been a really important creative outlet for me in these past few weeks. So once again, I would encourage you to consider checking out and maybe even donating to the Rehabilitation Through the Arts program that I've linked in the description. And this program is so effective that 3% of inmates who go through it end up returning to prison, compared to a 60% average nationwide. If you haven't gotten the chance to see this movie, you might still be able to catch it in theaters, but definitely make sure you watch it whenever it eventually comes out on streaming. And with that, we're done for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.